Morning, peeps. I'm back with another Club World Champs video because it's been very exciting, very exciting. I know you're all loving it. And yesterday's game between City and Al Hilal really topped off this tournament for me. Absolutely fantastic game. I was on the edge of my seat for like 90 minutes watching that match. It was incredible. You know, I kept expecting City to fluke their way out of it at the end, but they didn't manage it. And Al Hilal had quite a famous victory there, unbelievable. And I think all of us, really, all us FPL people pretty much underestimated a lot of these teams from other continents, didn't we? We did. I mean, you can see with the pricing. As I'll show you in a minute. But, you know, Ronaldo was right, wasn't he, about the Saudi Arabian League. You know, apparently Al Hilal aren't even the best team in the division. You know, and Chelsea might have to play them soon, and it is not going to be easy. They've got quite a strong team. Anyway, peeps, we'll have a look at the... we've now got to the quarterfinals. So this was the last 16. I got 101 points. I hope you all used your chip, by the way, your mystery chip, because this was obviously the week to use it, because you get extra points for players that qualify. And it was obviously a lot easier to pick teams that were more likely to qualify when there's 16 teams still left in the competition. So I think 10 of my players all got the extra 2 points. It was only Haaland. Haaland and Aït-Nouri are the only two players to ever actually go home from my team. All the other players won. You know, it's absolutely incredible, isn't it? We're all looking at Haaland and City as being like the banker game of the round. Unbelievable. But it's not really unbelievable in a way. It's just us. It's error in us. We all did it. We all underestimated them. So, we're going to move on now. We'll have a quick look at the mini league first, because it's heating up. And I forgot to do this last time we were on. So the mini league, I'm actually in the lead by 3 points. But I'm not doing that fantastic. I think I was 300th in the world before this final match. But not having Guirassy cost me. I did have him all the way through the group phase, and typical fantasy football, as soon as I take him out, he goes and scores a brace. But Hakimi was captain, 30 points, so I'm about 600th in the world now, so not too terrible. I think this is one of the tournaments where you learn as you go along, and of course your mistakes cost you because it's a short tournament. So we've got Benchwarmers in second with 364. Then there's a bit of a gap to the rest. I'll show you what I mean about that, because FPL Hippie had a bit of a strange one this week, because he only had one player left to play, and that player was Haaland, who of course he wanted to captain. But the problem was he couldn't captain Haaland because he had the vice captaincy on Haaland, and you can only make your player a captain. You can't make your player a captain if he's your vice captain. You have to first take off the vice captaincy and put it onto another player, and then you can make Haaland your captain. But because all his other players had already played, he couldn't do that. He couldn't take the vice captaincy off Haaland, which means he couldn't captain him. You know, so it's like these sort of strange rules that we're not used to can catch you out. And in a short tournament can cost you valuable points. You know, I had this in the second round when they were very late confirming the finish of a game, and I wanted to bench one of the players from that game and bring in another player to make my captain for the next kickoff. But it was getting near kickoff time and they still hadn't updated the game, so I had to take off a player that had actually scored more points than the one I wanted to take off, which cost me a few points there. So I think it's probably happened to a lot of us. But anyway, that's pretty much it with the leagues. You know, I think we're all doing very well. I don't know how many players are actually playing this game, but let's have a look at the bottom person. How many, where they are in the world. Oh, 35,000. That's more than I thought. I didn't realise there were that many. So maybe there's about 50,000 people playing. So I guess 600's not too bad. But then again, how many people are still actually playing? You know, a lot of people would have made a team and then not done any more about it. Right, peeps, so what to do for this round? First thing is, we're allowed to have 5 players per team. So I've currently got 4 Chelsea players. So I could, if I wanted to, bring in another Chelsea player. And I think we've got, I'll just check how many transfers we've got. I think we've got 6 or maybe 4 or 6. Quarterfinals, where are we? Oh, we've only got 4. So we've only got 4 transfers to make. It's not many, is it, really? So who you can take out is going to be dependent on who you have, I guess, isn't it? Like I'm going to have to take out Haaland and Aït-Nouri. So I'm in quite a good position in the fact that only 2 of my players are going home. So I can take those 2 out. Now looking at the fixtures here, these are the fixtures. And I think the top half of the draw, which Chelsea have very fortunately found themselves in, is by far easier than the second half of the draw. So I think you want to get as many players as you can in this top section, because they're probably the group you have less players in currently, aren't they? I mean, we've all got lots of PSG players, lots of Bayern Munich players, Dortmund players. I've seen people with 3 or 4 Dortmund players. So we're kind of going to want to migrate a little bit, I think, to this group up here. And like I said, I was very impressed with Al Hilal. They've got some very good players. So we'll have a look at, we'll go and have a look actually, shall we? So I'm thinking about getting in the Al Hilal striker, which would mean taking out Haaland. So I can't press any confirm buttons yet because I won't be able to change them again. Now let's have a look at Al Hilal's team. Absolutely, we've so underestimated him. The striker, look, Marcus Leonardo, has already got 30 points, and you wouldn't believe his price, 4 million. 4 million, peeps. Now this just shows you how everybody, you know, bookmakers, fantasy football players, the people who make the prices, often don't know what they're talking about. Do you know what I mean? The price isn't always built in, like in the bookmakers, you know, like the stock market. Often anomalies. And to have him at 4 million just showed, I think, that the entire world of football has completely underestimated Al Hilal. I mean, it wasn't just Man City they beat. They drew with Real Madrid in the group stage as well. So obviously very good. And if you look at their players, you know, you've got Koulibaly's in there, used to play for Chelsea, Ruben Neves, Bonal, the keeper, very good keeper. You've got João Cancelo, who was absolutely fantastic. You know, obviously had a big point to prove to Pep, didn't he? You know, he left in a bit of a cloud. Lodi, Malcolm, Milinkovic Savic, a top player. If you play FIFA, you know all about him. Lots of good players. You know, someone said it's a European team, and I think that's a bit unfair because if you look at these names here, there's no real, they're not all European, you know, and a lot of these players came on and played a significant part of the match against City, you know, and they played pretty well. So obviously having all those great players there is actually rubbing off on the locals. And like I said, apparently they're not even the best team in Saudi Arabia. So I think we've all very much underestimated them, and they're going to be quite a handful for Chelsea, I think, should Chelsea and Al Hilal progress through the next round, which is not far from a given, peeps, far from a given. You know, I would not be surprised to see Chelsea cock it up. And you lot who don't support Chelsea probably really want them to lose, don't you? I mean, really, really want them to lose, because the last thing you want is Chelsea to have a special badge on their chest for the next 4 years and going on about out of the World Club Champs, you know. 4 years is a long time to put up with that, peeps, isn't it? So you don't want to have to put up with that. So you'll all be wanting Chelsea to lose. Me, on the other hand, hoping they'll win. But I think it's going to be very, very tough, even to get to the final. You know, if they get to the final, if they lose, I won't be too upset. But really, with the draw they've got, you'd like to think they are actually going to make the final. So you've got 4 transfers. So who are the priority transfers? I suggest that striker for Al Hilal is a priority transfer. I think having at least 4 Chelsea is probably a good idea as well. Palmeiras, I don't really know. Really, I haven't really looked. Let's have a look. Palmeiras. So the goalie's the player with the most points for Palmeiras. I've already got him in. Whether I'm going to play him or not. I guess I've got 2 shots at it, haven't I? We've got 2 shots. So a lot of the players are suspended. I don't know if this is actively showing. It doesn't appear to be. So that's the trouble with these websites. It doesn't really even show you which players are suspended. I know almost their entire back line is suspended for this match, isn't it? So, but there's nobody here on huge points. I don't want any of them because I'm basically want Chelsea to win, and I don't want to have to be distracted by what the Palmeiras players are up to. So we've got currently got 4 players. Is it worth getting a 5th one? And I will not even say that Parma is the best 5th option. I think the lineup's going to be pretty similar to the previous match. James is an option. I can't remember when he came off. I think he did come off before extra time. I'm not sure, but they've got quite a long recovery time because for some strange reason they played their game first in the last 16, but they're playing their next one last. So we've got like an extra day, 2 extra days recovery time than Al Hilal had, which seems very odd, very odd. Whole 2 days extra recovery time. Well, we're not playing them, of course, are they? They're playing Palmeiras. But sorry, but you know what I mean. The Al Hilal players have got less time for their quarter final. They've got 2 days less to prepare than the Chelsea players have. Right, so yeah, Parma. I'm not even sure Parma is the best option, or whether you get a James in, somebody like that. I think Neto. Who else is there really? Probably not any, but I'm not sure. Jackson's back. So Delap's minutes are going to be managed. And apparently João Pedro's joining them for the remainder of the tournament. And he's not even listed as an option. But if they get to the final and it's extra time and there's penalties, you never know. João Pedro could repay his entire transfer fee with 1 kick. 1 kick, peeps. That's all it would take. If he scored that winning penalty in the final, it would pretty much pay off his transfer fee. So just having him there on the bench in case there's a penalty shootout in the next 3 rounds, which there probably will be, could be very, very useful. So let's assume I take out Haaland for the striker from Al Hilal. Then I'm looking for weak links. So I should take out Moreno, who plays for Palmeiras. I shall be taking him out. And I could either get another Al Hilal player. I could get a Real Madrid midfielder. I haven't got any Real Madrid. I probably do need to get Real Madrid, don't I? So possibly, who would I get? Who would I get for Real Madrid? Who are the best options for them? Let's have a look. I'll tell you, I want Trent. Trent got his first assist. He got the only assist today, didn't he, for Real Madrid. He's currently right up there at 26 points for him. Garcia's on the maximum. I'm just looking at the positions. Oh yeah, Bellingham's a midfielder. I probably will get Bellingham in. Vinicius Junior's a striker. So's Rodrigo. Yeah, I'll probably go for Bellingham in midfield. Bring Trent in for Svensson. I think I can afford all this because I'm taking Haaland out, who is obviously pretty pricey. And for my final transfer, I don't know what I'd do there. I'll probably keep Harry Kane because as a striker goes, I mean, he's pretty good, isn't he? And he seems to be in a bit of form. I could take Elise out and change him to somebody else in the top half of a draw. Maybe another Al Hilal player, like I said. I fancy them to beat Fluminense. But let's have a look at those. I haven't really studied Fluminense. Of course, they've got Thiago Silva, haven't they? Chelsea. I tell you what, Chelsea players didn't have a great couple of days because Thiago Silva was fantastic in beating Inter Milan. And Koulibaly was fantastic in beating Man City. And then Chelsea themselves with their extra time win, which was absolutely ridiculous, wasn't it? 4.5 hours. 4.5 hours, peeps. I started watching it at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I was still sat here at like 1 in the afternoon. And I wanted to go out and play golf and do all sorts of things. So it totally stuffed up my Sunday. But I wasn't going to go out and miss it. I thought they were coming back for 4 minutes, but it turned out it was more like 40 minutes, wasn't it? Which is, at least I got my money's worth, but it was a lot more stress than I really wanted. Look at that, Thiago Silva, 4.7 million. It's crazy some of the prices on these South American teams and the Saudi Arabian team. So if you want a stocking filler, you go for one of these players and hope they keep a clean sheet. I'll probably keep Hakimi. Actually, yeah, like I said, you've only got 4 transfers, so we're probably going to end up keeping a lot of these players anyway, aren't we? So we're going to have coverage. I mean, I've got Mendes, Hakimi, and Kvaratskhelia, whatever his name is. So I've got enough of them. I've got enough Bayern Munich, so I've got Kane and Elise. So really, it's all about getting people in for that top half of a draw. And Real Madrid players, if you haven't got them. A lot of people don't have any Real Madrid players. So personally, I think Trent looked good today. He looked good. I mean, his debut match he was appalling, wasn't he? He was appalling. Absolutely appalling. And you can see with these prices how they've got them so wrong. And this is a danger with FPL. And it's one reason why I don't really want the game to open early. Part of me obviously wants it to open early. But the thing is, it opens in say the 15th of July. We all go mad for a couple of days all over it. And then you've got a whole month before anything else happens. They'd be better off opening it late, waiting for all the transfers to take place, really taking their time over the transfers, taking their time over the rules, and getting it perfect. I'd much rather they did that than rush it out, get it wrong, and then we're stuck with it because they've got no mechanism with the current price changes to really do anything about it if they get it wrong, which is why I watched a video the other day that Gary put out, FPL Have a Beer, a compilation of all his interviews with managers, which is very good. And he did a compilation about what they'd like to change for the season. And myself and a few others, I can't remember who it was, were all in favour of a change to the price system whereby there's a lockout during the actual games and the game comes back with a new set of prices and those prices stay the same for the rest of that week or whatever. But it gives them more control over the prices. The current system doesn't. It doesn't give them any real control whatsoever. And which is why I'd like the game to open later if they're going to keep the current rules. Because once they've made a mistake, it's very hard to actually undo that mistake, isn't it? And the other thing, of course, is the deadline. Really, really need it to be moved. Either back to 3 hours or up to game time. One of the two. Not 1.5 hours like it currently is. Because that seems to be not long enough to stop the leakers from getting their action, and it's also so early before the matches that people like myself will have to get up to check for teams, then have an hour and a half to wait before there's any matches. So that's like diabolical as well. So anyway, peeps, that's about it for this. So basically, use your 4 transfers wisely. And my advice would be try and get as many players in this group here at the top for the next round. And Real Madrid players if you don't have any. And that's about it. And in terms of your other chip, your captain chip, if you still got it, I've still got mine. I'm saving mine for the final because one more tip, peeps, make sure you have at least one player. I'm sure you will have, but make sure you have at least one player from each of these 4 games so you get the guaranteed 4 captains. Because the captain chip, there's no point playing it now, which gives you your best captain or whatever, because we've got 4 cracks at the captaincy here. We've got 2 cracks at it next week. And in the final, we've only got 1 go at it. So if you get it wrong, you're stuck with it. So that, I think, is the best week to play the maximum captainship. Although you can argue that the final might be tight and that nobody is going to get a really big score in the final. You know, unless somebody gets a hat-trick or whatever. Very unlikely. And you have, of course, got more chance of a player getting a hat-trick in these earlier rounds. So in some ways, I guess you could play it now. But personally, I'd rather wait until the final. And then at least I get a good final game week, hopefully. And don't have to worry about being on the wrong captain. Anyway, peeps, I'm off now. So take care. I will be back in a day or 2 with a lot more FPL content, I think. And a bit more World Club Champs info as well, because it's been really, really enjoyable. And the naysayers, you know, they can sit at home on their computers saying they're not going to watch it, they don't want to do this, and type on Blue Sky, you know, how boring it all is. I haven't watched a single minute of it, but it's all very boring and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, the only ones missing out are them, aren't they? So the rest of us all loving it. Anyway, peeps, I'll talk to you all later, and I will see you out on my relatively new end screen. So cheers for now then, peeps.